Hi, we're looking at solving multi-step equations today, and this is on page 20 of the current packet. Potentially subject to change in later terms, but page 20, try that page. And so our steps to solving a multi-step equation is we're going to simplify. And remember from expressions that to simplify, we're going to distribute. So we're going to get rid of any parentheses by distributing, and we're going to combine like terms. Once we distribute and we combine like terms, one or both of those things might be necessary. Once we've done that, then we will have a two-step equation. And so our next step will be to either add or subtract. The constant, right? And we're doing that to both sides to move it away from the variable. So I'll say on both sides. The examples will help make that more meaningful. And then, of course, for these problems, the last step will be that we divide. So the last, step 2 and step 3 here is very much what we did in class yesterday with two-step equations and two-step inequalities. So divide, and we do that on both sides. Maybe I don't need to say on both sides, but just to be sure. So first off, for number 1, I don't see any parentheses, so I don't need to distribute, but I can combine like terms. So we have a 9x and a negative 7x. So we'll put those together to get 2x. Then we're going to combine this plus 1 and minus 5. That will give us negative 4, and then it still equals negative 20. And then from there, we're going to be doing things on both sides of that line that I put through the equal sign. So to get rid of the plus 4, our goal is to isolate that variable. We're going to, to get rid of the minus 4, we're going to plus 4. So we'll get rid of subtract 4 by adding 4. Now I have 2x is equal to negative 20, and a positive 4 makes negative 16. Then we'll divide both sides by 2 and get that x is equal to negative 8. All right, I'm going to skip down from there and do number 3. By the way, if you did number 2, you should have gotten a solution that a is equal to negative 4. So hopefully you did. So in number 3, I will have to distribute and then combine the like terms afterwards. So the 4m is just going to come down and wait his turn. And we're going to do the negative 5 and distribute it times both things inside the parentheses. So negative 5 times 3m is negative 15m. Negative 5 times 10, negative 50. And that's equal to 126. We're not done yet. Still doesn't look like a two-step equation. We need to combine these like terms. So 4m and negative 15m, negative 11m. Just writing down the rest. Now that it's as simple as possible, now I can focus on solving by undoing that subtraction, by adding 50, and then of course on our last step we'll be dividing. So when we divide by negative 11, then we find out that m is negative 16. And for any of these problems, we could replace the variable with the value we get as our solution, and it should be true. So I'm not asking you to do that, but I always want to point out that you could check your own work by doing that. So if I put negative 16 in for the m, 3 times negative 16, I guess I used a parenthesis anyway, and then plus 10, and this whole thing should equal 126, no negative there. So 4 times negative 16 is negative 64, and then inside this other parenthesis, this would be negative 48 plus 10, which would be negative 38, and it's going to get multiplied by negative 5. So then I have negative 64 plus 190, and if I put those two together, I do indeed get 126. And a calculator would be really handy to quickly check that instead of working it out by hand like I did. Again, your solution is m is negative 16. If you work through the other problems for 4 and 5, it may be helpful on number 4 that you think of this as a 1 and then distribute a negative 1. Your final answer for this one as a checkpoint should be k is negative 1. And then number 5, negative 25 is equal to x would be your final answer. Obviously you could write the x on the other side. So I'm going to go to the other side of the page and give you some examples about solving when there's variables on both sides. The ones on this page will be good examples for you as you are working on homework 6. There are 6 problems. You will notice they have multi-steps, but they do not have variables on both sides. So after working through these and listening to this, you may want to just do those 6 problems before you watch the rest of this video. All right, welcome to what is page 21 in my notes. You're going to see there is an extra step squeezed in here that says get variables on the same side. Otherwise, step 1, 3, and 4 is basically the same as it was on the other side of the page. Except notice I say simplify each side because we might need to simplify on the left and the right, or just one, or sometimes neither. Both 1 and 2 here, we don't have to simplify each side at all, but we do need to get the variables on the same side. I typically like to see my variables on the left. I'm just a creature of habit, so that's what feels most natural to me. But if I saw there were no constants on the right, then I might choose to move my variables to the right. You can move them to either side. You want to be certain that before you divide, you have variables on one side of the equal and your constants on the other side. If suddenly you don't see an equal sign, something may have gone wrong. So 1 and 2 work in a similar way. We do not have a step 1. Both sides are already simplified, so I am ready to get my variables on the same side. So to do that, I'm going to subtract these 3 y's because I don't want variables to be over there. So I have to do the same thing on this side of the equation also. That's now gone. 5y take away 3y is 2y minus 8, then gives us 12. And then, as I've mentioned before, then we should be in familiar territory. Now we need to do this 2-step equation. We're going to add 8 to both sides. 12 plus 8 is 20, and then we'll divide by 2. So y is 10. So if you want to pause the video and try number 2, I'm going to give you just the answer for number 2. We'll give you something to work for, and you'll have a little more to know that you're on the right track. All right, if you're back, I'll assume you've tried number 2, and I hope that you also got x is -1. X equals -1. So those didn't have a step 1, but we get down to 9 and 10, and they do. Okay, so let's look at first at number 9. So in number 9, I see that I need to distribute, because I see parentheses. So I've got a lot of simplifying to do on the left side of the equal. So I'm going to distribute first, get rid of those parentheses. So I took the 9 times both things inside. Everything else at this point is just being rewritten. Now we're going to combine like terms, so that's part of simplifying. Now I did say simplify both sides. The other side just happens to already be simplified in this problem. 7m plus 43, there's no parentheses, there's no like terms. It's just chilling. Now that the left side is simplified, now we can start moving the variable. I would not recommend that you move the variable until you clean up things on the left side, until it's simplified. Just think of it like if you were getting ready to move. Wouldn't you kind of like to, if they left the house a wreck that you were going to rent, wouldn't you want to like clean it up before you moved in? And wouldn't you want to condense your stuff before you move it? Hopefully the answers to those things are yes. But if they're not, no judgment here. So now I'm ready to move my variables. I'm going to move that 7m by subtracting 7m. Remember, I can't just randomly do that. I have to do it on both sides of the equation. Then the 12m, take away 7m, 5m. Just bringing down the rest of the problem. And then there we are, two-step equation again. So I'll add to undo the subtraction. And then I'll divide. So m is 14. If you'd like to try number 10 and see how that goes, for number 10, my answer is A is -5. So you might work through number 10 and see if you also get A is -5. All right, I hope you were successful with number 10. Remember, sorry if my video kind of jumps around, you're always welcome to pause it while you're doing something. Some of you might wish you could pause me and rewind me in class. Or mute me, for that matter. But alas, you cannot. So when I see that negative sign there, I'm basically subtracting both things inside. It may help you to slide a 1 in there and think about it like distributing, and that you're distributing a -1. So the 5x, he's patient, he's just going to wait. -1 times x, -1x, -1 times 18, -18, so two negatives make that plus 18. The 6 is just waiting. Please do not do 6 minus 2. We've got to do that multiplication before we do that subtraction. So -2 times x and -2 times 15. So we've distributed on both sides, but we still have another step that's part of simplifying both sides. Now we're going to do combine like terms just on each side. Don't try to move things side to side right now, just on the left side and on the right side. So on the left side, I see I've got a 5x, and a negative 1x. So we can put those together to get 4x, and I still have 18. And then on the right side, I have 6 and negative 30 that are like terms. There is no other x. You could write down the negative 2x first, then the negative 24, or negative 24 minus 2x. Both ways would be fine. But the 6 and the negative 30 should be put together. Now when I looked on the left side, it's as simple as possible. When I look on the right side, that expression is also as simple as possible. Now I'm ready to start moving. Well, I don't want those x's to stay over there on the right, so to get rid of or to move this negative 2x, I'm going to have to add 2x so that it cancels out. I can do that as long as I also add it over here. 4x and 2x makes 6x. So 6x plus 18 is negative 24. Take away 18 on both sides. Then 6x is negative 42. Divide by 6. And x then is negative 7. Lots of steps there, lots of steps, but x is negative 7. If you attempt number, well, it says number 12, but it's just the last problem on this page. There aren't really 12 problems on the page. The other problem on this page, the answer should be 4. All right, so those are some examples from the notes for multi-step equations, and then that will help you as you attempt to complete, and I know you're going to, homework 6 and homework 7. Okay, there are 6 problems on each. I will give you the heads up that on homework 7, number 3 is a decimal answer. So don't be surprised by that. All of the other ones should be nice integer answers, meaning they could be positive, negative, they could be 0, but they are whole numbers. No fractions or decimals. But number 3, you could leave as a fraction or a decimal, but it is not a whole number. Number 3 on homework 7. Thanks.